Have you ever wondered why, despite constantly seeking peace, your mind still feels restless? Why do the days that seem calm turn into silent battles within yourself? It's because we've learned to run away from suffering, not realizing that suffering is, in fact, an invaluable teacher. In today's world, we seek comfort as the solution. We avoid what makes us uncomfortable, hoping that life will become easier. But in reality, comfort is a slow killer. It weakens us every day. We often feel tired, even without any battles, and lonely, even when everything around us seems fine. This happens because we have never truly faced hardship, never challenged ourselves enough to realize that it is through difficulty that true strength is forged. To grow, we must learn to embrace suffering as a companion on the path of self-discipline. Suffering is not the enemy, but a mirror reflecting our true selves. Imagine a difficult moment in your life when everything seemed to fall apart. Did that moment break you, or did you rise stronger than ever before? Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "The obstacle is the way." This statement is not just philosophy, but a rule for living, a way to face difficulty without wavering. Every challenge, every obstacle is not meant to defeat us, but to sharpen our resolve, to strengthen our inner power. So, begin with the small things in life, challenges that are not too overwhelming, but enough for you to feel change. It could be a meal you don't enjoy, a difficult conversation, or even sitting alone in silence while everything around you is busy and loud. View them as life's exercises. Embracing pain is not what we want, but it is what we need to become the person we admire. Breathe before reacting and ask yourself, is this really worth losing my peace over? When you realize that every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your will, you will no longer fear any pain. In truth, suffering is not the enemy, but the companion that helps you grow more resilient, stronger, and steadier in every situation. Remember the words of Epictetus, "It's not the events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." The suffering we face today is not a punishment, but an opportunity to become the person we are meant to be. Have you ever felt like you were swept away by your emotions, only to wake up and realize that you've lost your inner peace? This feeling is not uncommon, for we've grown accustomed to living in immediate reactions. A thoughtless comment, a small failure, or an unnecessary argument, everything can pull us away, making us lose our calm. But is there a way to prevent emotions from controlling our lives? The answer is, don't let them rule you. Emotions are not our enemies, but when we let them take control, we become slaves to ourselves. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Anyone who can make you angry has become your master." This statement is sharp, but it serves as a powerful reminder. When someone criticizes you or makes you angry, you allow yourself to lose your composure. When someone hurts you, you hand over your peace to them. You let them control your emotions, even though you have the power to decide how you respond. Emotions are a part of being human, but Stoicism doesn't teach us to avoid or deny them. It teaches us how to observe, understand, and respond with intention rather than react impulsively. When faced with a negative event, instead of immediately reacting with anger or worry, Stoicism encourages you to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this emotion truly necessary? Does it help me solve the problem, or does it just make the situation worse? Marcus Aurelius, in his writings, emphasized, our pain does not come from the event, but from how we interpret it. That is the true power Stoicism offers us, the power to control how we respond to every situation. We cannot control what happens around us, but we can control how we feel and act in response to those events. This is the power of emotional proactivity. You can feel anger, but you don't have to act on it. You can feel anxiety, but it doesn't have to stop you from taking action. You can feel disappointment, but it shouldn't define your worth. Remember, when you don't let emotions control you, you become steadfast and calm in the face of challenges. You no longer get overwhelmed by trivial things. Instead, you start living with strength and purpose. When you take charge of your emotions, the world will see you differently, because the stability and calm within you will command respect from those around you. A simple yet powerful Stoic piece of advice: observe your emotions, but don't let them control you. Your peace cannot be disturbed if you don't allow it. So, remember this truth: emotions are not the end, but merely the beginning of your self-control and true strength. Life is not always fair. Indeed, we can see that effort is not always rewarded, and lazy people sometimes achieve what they do not deserve. The people we love may leave without explanation, and in those moments, our hearts may rise in protest. We feel pain, we feel anger, we feel injustice. But Stoicism teaches us that fairness in life is not something we can expect. In fact, expecting fairness might be the very thing that weakens us. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Life is not about fairness. Life is about strength." This is a truth that many find hard to accept, but it is precisely in accepting this that true strength begins. When we accept that life owes us nothing, we stop waiting to be treated fairly. We stop blaming others for our failures, and we no longer waste energy on thoughts about things beyond our control. Instead of asking, "Why do I have to endure this?" a Stoic would ask, "What lesson does this challenge bring?" As Seneca once said, "Sometimes surviving alone is an act of courage, especially when life seems unfair." The harsh truth is, life will not always be fair. You can do everything right and still not be rewarded. You can love deeply and still face betrayal. The bad may win at times, and the good may suffer. But Stoicism teaches that we cannot let this injustice shake our will. Adversity is not the enemy. Adversity is a lesson, an opportunity to refine ourselves. When you face injustice, instead of being angry, you can choose to turn it into motivation. Don't focus on what is unfair and drown in anger. Instead, transform it into the strength within you. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in front of you becomes the path you take." Remember, life does not promise fairness, but one thing is certain: you can choose how to respond to everything that happens. Don't wait for the world to be fair. Build fairness within your own soul. Only when you stop expecting life to treat you fairly can you break free from the cycle of disappointment and step into a life of true strength and freedom. Self-mastery in all circumstances is true strength. When you no longer wait for fairness from life, you will become the strongest in any challenge because you have learned to control yourself, no matter the circumstances. In a world filled with chaos, where everything seems to be beyond our control, Stoicism teaches a profound lesson. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, pointed out, "Suffering comes from our attachment to things outside ourselves rather than focusing on what we can control." This is a powerful reminder that inner peace can only be found when we recognize that we have sole authority over our thoughts, actions, and reactions. Most of us fall into this trap, worrying about things beyond our control. We worry about the future, about what others think of us, about situations that are out of our hands. We try to change the external world, forgetting that true change begins from within. You can control what you think and how you respond, but you cannot control the actions of others, circumstances, or external events. This means that you need to invest your energy in things you can change. A sense of helplessness arises when we try to control what we cannot, while neglecting what we actually have the power to control. Imagine you're in the middle of a storm. The storm is howling, the rain is pouring, but a Stoic does not scream at the wind or try to change the storm. Instead, they take hold of the helm and steer their ship calmly and steadily. This symbolizes focusing on what you can control, not what is beyond your reach. Whenever you feel anxious or stressed, ask yourself, is this something I can control? If it is, take action immediately. If not, let it go and don't allow your mind to be swept away by things that have no impact on your life. Stoicism teaches us that when you are clear about what you can change, you not only reclaim power, but also find peace. You will not be swayed by every negative thought or feeling of frustration. You become focused on action rather than worry, because you understand that when you choose to focus on what you can control, you become unshakable. Remind yourself every day, I can only control my thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else is not worth my energy. And as you begin to live by this principle, you'll find yourself calmer, stronger, and freer than ever before. In a world filled with convenience and comfort, discipline becomes the true superpower. People seek ease, avoiding challenges, but Stoicism teaches that nothing of value comes without the price of effort. Seneca wrote, "Take some time to live with the simplest things, with simple food, with old clothes, and ask yourself, is this what I fear?" It is the voluntary practice of hardship not to torture oneself, but to train the mind and body to prepare for whatever challenges life may bring. Because when life becomes truly difficult, a Stoic is neither surprised nor scared. They have practiced for the harshness of life beforehand, and they have learned to accept difficulty as part of their growth. Ask yourself, how can I become stronger? While others avoid challenges, you should seek to embrace them as opportunities for growth. In fact, the path to strength is not through avoiding pain, but through facing and overcoming it. The challenges you choose are the stepping stones to building your resilience. Simple actions like fasting for 24 hours, taking a cold shower when you don't want to, or waking up early when your body is tired. All of these are ways to cultivate your patience and endurance so that you can face life's difficulties without breaking down. Though these challenges may seem small, they teach you a profound lesson. Difficulty does not weaken you. It is the foundation for your strength. When you dare to face the challenges that others shy away from, you will gradually become steadier and confident, unafraid of any hardship. That is why a Stoic does not seek an easy life. They never run away from challenges. They face them head on, knowing that each step through difficulty will forge them into true warriors. And when you have accepted hardship, you will no longer fear it. Remember, the path of a warrior is not the easy path, but it is the path of those who never give up. And when challenges come, you will smile because you are ready to face them. We have been taught that everything in life must have an outcome. Success must be measured by specific metrics, position, money, fame. But according to Stoicism, the focus should not be on the outcome, but on the process. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic masters, taught that freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and it is achieved when you let go of things beyond your control. To truly understand this, you must separate your career from the final result. The outcome is not the only thing worth focusing on. The process is where true strength is built. Imagine you spend a week training but don't see immediate clear results. Instead of quitting, pause and remind yourself, you are not working for the result. You are working to grow through each step you take. The result is not the only thing that defines your worth. The process and effort along the way are what truly matter. When you focus only on the outcome, it becomes easy to feel vulnerable. If you don't achieve the goal you set, you may feel like a failure. But if you focus on the process, no matter what the outcome is, you will feel satisfied knowing you gave your best effort. Stoicism teaches us that when you do your work well, no matter the result, you still succeed. When you no longer depend on the outcome to feel your self-worth, you free yourself from the fear of failure and the need for recognition. You become steadier in the face of challenges because you understand that true success is in the consistency of action, not in showing off results. What matters is that you do it every day, not for the recognition of others, but for yourself and the values you live by. Learn to love the process and don't let the result control you. Each step on this path will make you stronger, not only physically but also mentally. And when you pause to enjoy the journey, you will realize one thing. You have achieved something no one can take away from you. Personal growth and continuous self-improvement. Most of us live as if time is infinite, continuously postponing our dreams, continuing bad habits, and maintaining unworthy relationships. But Stoic philosophy teaches us a powerful and unsettling truth. Life is limited, and death is inevitable. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This is not fear, but freedom. The awareness of death is power. When you understand that nothing is permanent, you will no longer wait for tomorrow to make important changes. Instead, you will act now. Death is not something to fear. It is a valuable reminder that every moment in life is precious. When you are aware that time is limited, you will no longer waste a second on things that don't matter, like endlessly scrolling through social media or arguing over trivial matters. You will stop settling for mediocrity and begin to create meaningful moments, the moments you truly want to live, the moments that help you grow and bring you closer to the person you want to become. Seneca once said, "We do not live in a short time, but in how we live." This means that it's not how long you live that matters, but how you live. Instead of continuing to procrastinate, you must live with purpose. Think about what you've missed, what you haven't done, the people you haven't forgiven. Procrastination is your greatest enemy. Remember, time is not something you can own forever. Every day that passes without action is a day. Lost Stoicism does not encourage you to live in fear of death, but to let death make you vigilant and act decisively. For when you live as though each day could be your last, you don't just do what you must do, you do what you want to do. This helps you live fully, not letting any day pass without meaning. Death is not the end, but a reminder to live a life of value and without regret. When you know time is limited, you will realize that every decision you make must reflect your grander goals and higher aspirations. Live as if you are on borrowed land, because you truly are. Most people live to receive praise, attention, and recognition from others. They work for compliments, applause, likes, and shares on social media. But for a Stoic, recognition from others is not important. What matters is your own virtue, living true to your principles. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do what is right, the rest doesn't matter." This means that you don't live for the praise of the crowd, but for your own inner virtue and righteousness. Do what is right even when no one is watching. Speak the truth even when no one applauds. Keep your promises even when there is a price to pay. Work hard even when there's no one to witness it. That is virtue, perseverance, and the most important thing you can build, a soul that cannot be bought. This virtue does not require you to be perfect, but simply to live according to your principles. To achieve this, you must face the truth. Doing the right thing is often harder. Sometimes it's much easier to lie, to impress others, to please people. But doing what is right, even if painful, is the path that Stoicism lays out for you. Every time you choose the right thing over the easy thing, you sharpen yourself. You become the person that your future self will admire. You build an identity that no one can take from you, a character you can be proud of when you look back. Seneca once reminded us, "I will manage my life and thoughts as if the whole world could see them." This is a strength. It's a life that won't break under pressure because it is built on integrity. A life where you do not need the acknowledgement of anyone. So remember, don't live for recognition. Live according to your values, not to satisfy the crowd, but for yourself. Live in such a way that even if you lose everything, money, status, fame, you will still stand strong. When you stop needing recognition from others, you will become the person they naturally admire. Become a warrior for virtue, not for recognition. And if you walk this path alone, walk as though it is the only path that matters. Because in truth, when you choose virtue and live by high values, you will never walk alone. Most people live as if comfort is the path to true success. They search for ease, for tranquility, where there are no challenges or pain. But in this case, they lose their true power. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Stoics do not live in comfort. They understand that every challenge carries an opportunity for growth. They do not shy away from difficulties, but actively face them, seeing them as part of the process of training both the mind and body. Seneca wrote, "We cannot grow without facing difficulties." This is a truth that every Stoic understands and applies in life. Look at the tough days in your life. Have you ever realized that those days are when you learn the most? It is in the challenge that you discover your true strength. Change your perspective on the obstacles in life. Don't let difficulties make you weak. Let them shape you into a stronger person. We live in a world full of temptations for ease. There are 1,000 reasons to avoid a difficult encounter, not face a challenge, or ignore a necessary task. But Stoicism teaches us we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. Instead of blaming circumstances, ask yourself, how can I become stronger through this? Instead of seeking comfort, seek challenge. When you are not afraid to face difficulties, when you find peace even in the storm, you will become an unshakable person. Think about something important. The Stoic path does not promise ease, but it promises a life of meaning and inner strength. Live with purpose, not for comfort. And when you live this way, you will not only rise strong in this life, but you will build a legacy that no one can erase. Therefore, instead of seeking the easy way, choose the path full of challenges, for that is the path that leads you to greatness. Live with affirmation, not acceptance. In a world constantly changing, where comparison and insecurity easily dominate the mind, there is one thing Stoicism teaches us that no one can deny. Only when you live according to your own principles can you truly be free. Freedom is not escape from responsibility. In fact, freedom is the affirmation of control over oneself and deciding one's actions without being dependent on others' views or external factors. You may see people around you constantly seeking recognition, approval from society, friends, numbers, and compliments. But Stoicism teaches that only intrinsic value defines your worth. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "My life is not to please everyone, but to live true to myself." Self-affirmation is the first step towards becoming invincible. A Stoic does not need to prove their worth to anyone. They know that their value does not depend on others' opinions. What they seek is understanding and respect from themselves through their actions and decisions. Each day, instead of worrying about whether you'll gain acceptance or not, ask yourself, am I living today in alignment with the principles I have set for myself? When you start living this way, you will experience a profound freedom that cannot be taken from you, no matter the circumstances. Don't live to prove anything. Live to affirm yourself. This doesn't mean ignoring helpful advice from others, but rather not being dependent on those opinions to define your worth. A Stoic is not afraid of walking alone on their path. They do not seek the approval of the crowd, but rather honesty with themselves. Live as if you are the only one who understands the purpose and meaning of your life. And as you walk that path, you will find that self-affirmation is the key to unlocking the door to freedom. You will become someone no one can shake because you no longer depend on others' approval. Let self-affirmation be the strength that guides you through every situation. Greatness is not about standing out in the crowd, it is about being unbreakable, no matter the storms. In a world where we are constantly caught in the race against time, sometimes we forget one important thing. Our lives are limited. None of us can know when the end will come, and because of that, every moment we are living is incredibly precious. This reality might frighten you, but for a Stoic, it is freedom. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors in history, did not fear facing death. Instead, he lived each day as if it could come at any moment. He wrote in Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Memento mori, remember that you will die," is not a reminder for us to live in fear, but to live with purpose and urgency. When you truly realize that your time is limited, you no longer waste it on meaningless things. You stop procrastinating, stop living in bad habits, and stop holding on to unhealthy relationships. Death is not what we should fear, but not living fully, not living with determination and purpose. When you live as if every moment could be your last, every decision becomes stronger, clearer, and undistracted by trivial or unimportant things. A Stoic does not wait for the future to do important things. They live right now. They understand that death is the final teacher, showing us that every moment that passes cannot be regained, so we must live fully with each second. Ask yourself, if today were my last day, how would I live? This question is not meant to make you fearful, but to make you aware that life is meaningful when you live with urgency and appreciation for every moment. Make each day an opportunity to create, to love, to learn, and to grow. Never let death take away your life. We cannot know when the end will come, but we can choose to live in a way that when we look back, each day will be a journey worth living, remembering, and being proud of. So, live as though you have been given the precious gift of life only to accomplish what is truly worth doing. In today's society, we often chase after the acceptance of others. We long to be loved, recognized, and applauded. But for the Stoic, that is not the goal. We do not live for praise or external validation. We live to uphold virtue, to live according to our own principles, whether anyone notices or not. Marcus Aurelius once said, "As long as you do what is right, the rest doesn't matter." This is not just advice, but a strong guide for the Stoic way of life. Live with dignity, live with principles, without caring for the acceptance or praise of others. What is the challenge? It is choosing to do what is right, even when it is not welcomed, even when you stand alone in the crowd, while others around you chase praise and acceptance. Doing what is right is not easy. It touches the ego that wants to be loved and recognized. But virtue is not something easily achieved. It is a constant choice, not a result of luck or the agreement of the crowd. Look at true Stoic warriors. They do not seek approval from others. They do what is right because they know it is the right path. They do not do it for recognition or praise, but because they respect themselves and the principles they follow. Virtue is the only thing that can create an identity no one can take away. When you choose to live rightly, even in solitude, even when no one sees, you are building a soul that cannot be corrupted. You are building self-love that does not depend on others' approval. This is truly a great challenge, but it is within these challenges that you become the strongest version of yourself. Each time you choose to do what is right, even when it is difficult, you are training yourself to become someone you can be proud of, someone who cannot be changed by time. In this world, where image and performance are central, the Stoic is the one who is real. In a noisy world, the Stoic is silent. In a world of performances, the Stoic is genuine. Authenticity never needs applause, and virtue never needs the recognition of the crowd. Live according to your values, not for the crowd. Live in such a way that even if you lose everything, money, fame, popularity, you can still stand firm. When you no longer need praise, you will become the person the crowd will naturally follow. Choose the path of virtue rather than chasing acceptance or attention. And if you walk this path alone, walk with pride, for it is the only path truly worth walking.